Hey y'all, hope we're all doing well out there. Today we're going to be diving into a demo. We're going to be talking about making a hamburger, not making a hamburger, making a hamburger menu. We're going to do a really simple way of doing that. There are some more complicated ways out there, but I'm just going to keep it simple so everybody has a successful looking site. We're not going too into the deep end. People that are wanting to do that can definitely do that. We're also going to talk about auto layouts. We're going to be talking about how we're going to set up our workflow for these sites that are going to be kind of choose your own adventures. So if you haven't yet, download the files, pull up Figma, and let's go make a frame. We're just going to use our iPhone 15 or iPhone 14, 15 Pro Max. That's what I'm working with, the 15, 14 Pro Max. I'm going to make two artboards right off the bat, or two frames, sorry, in Illustrator mode. And let's call that first one our landing page. So that's the page where you go click on the hyperlink and it takes you to that. It's where you want people to start off on the website. They're only going to be on there once, and then they're going to go to something else. Okay, and then the other page, we're going to make this our menu overlay. So we're just kind of a really big overlay. You could do drop downs. Some people have done that. Some of them are more animated, but let's just keep it simple so we're not getting too in the weeds, getting people lost right off the bat. But if you want to be extra, by all means, take it up a next level. Okay, so we got these two things going down here. I'm also going to just make a big rectangle on my overlay. Maybe I'm going to go change the color to like a pinkish, just so I know when I finally get this all set up that this pink is going to go on top of my landing page. So I can actually tell that there's an overlay there. It's just a placeholder. You know, we could think there's an image, there's something else there. But let's continue on. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go make another rectangle. This time I'm going to make a square that's 60 tall by 60 wide. And I'm going to use this as kind of a placeholder for our menu. I'm dropping that into both compositions. I'm going to drag it to the side. And I'm going to use that to kind of make our hamburger menu. So if I'm going too fast for y'all, we got that square as a placeholder on the top right. And now I'm going to go make our hamburger menu. Yet again, using the rectangle, I kind of like to use this tool instead of the pen tool for making some basic shapes. The pen tool has its own issues if I'm going to make this hamburger menu, which you'll find out in a second. So I'm letting things kind of auto lock as I go and develop this hamburger menu really quickly. Okay, we got the burger. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna copy this burger, drag it down. Now the second one here, I'm gonna make this be our X. So I'm making an X really quickly. I could just find an asset and bring it in, but what's the fun in that? Okay, I got that all centered up. So not perfect, but they work. So I got my X, I got my burger. I'm gonna actually copy my burger. I'm gonna make another one just off to the left here. And we're going to forget about it. We'll come back to that. But copy that one off to the side, just so I'm going to show you a couple different ways of working. And once we do that, we're going to make our burger into a component. So right click component. Let's label that up. And then we're going to make our X a component. Going to label that X. Okay, cool. So we got these. I'm going to go set up my prototype interaction. So clicking on my burger, going to hit interaction. And what I want it to do is whenever I click or I tap, I'm going to open up the overlay menu. Pretty simple. Now this is going to be centered. This is going to take up the whole screen. You know, if you had a smaller overlay, you could go from centered to manual and kind of place it in the spot that you wanted it to be. But for right now, we're going to keep it simple, just a big overlay that goes on top of everything. So we got that there. I'm actually just going to take my X for the sake of time and just drag it into the corner, into that little placeholder that I got. Going to get rid of that placeholder for a second too. Okay, and for our X, I'm going to go add an interaction that on tap and close the overlay. It's pretty simple. When we tap it, it's going to open it up. When we hit the X, it's going to close it. And then I'm going to go duplicate my hamburger into my composition as well. Okay, we got something like this, hopefully. So let's prototype it out. Let's give it a good test run. So I go click the button, it changes, it changes. Pretty simple. But you could have this be where it's a drop down. You could have that overlay not take up the whole window. So if you're doing something for like a laptop, that overlay might be smaller, but that's a pretty simple way of making an overlay. Making a menu. So let's go take my landing page and actually duplicate that guy out a few times. So I'm going to make 2 more frames, just copying the landing page, duplicating that from there. And we're going to call this one about. I'm going to make a big rectangle on it just for the sake of having like a placeholder or something. And then the other one we're going to call start game. So I think we probably know what we got going on here. We have our 4 pages. So now that we got that, let's go, and I'm going to go on our overlay and make some buttons so I can click on and go to the about page or to the start game page. So I'm going to write about. Might make this a little bit bigger. Here I'm going to zoom in so you can see. So I got about here. I'm going to go take that and bump that up quite a bit, maybe to 64 point. So I have about there. It's going to become a button. And there's a couple ways we can do this. A lot of us, we're working in Photoshop, we're working in Illustrator, working in InDesign. We're used to writing the type, making a shape behind that, and just kind of layering those up, grouping them as buttons. But there is a quicker way of working within Figma. It kind of hurts my brain a little bit because I've been so used to working in Adobe. But what we could do is we could create auto layout. So what an auto layout is, I'm going to just do it here just so you can see it. I'm going to hit Shift A, and we have this auto layout. It's going to make a layout around that shape. I'm going to go maybe change the fill of that to white. Okay, so you hit Shift A, it's going to make a box around it. So those two things are combined together. I might go and I'm going to go around the corners of this a little bit. So I'm going to go into design. You can see I can adjust the size of that auto layout a little bit. I could adjust where things are centered, but I'm going to go give it maybe a little 10 on the corners. So those are rounded up a little bit like that. You could make that box tighter or looser depending on how you want to make your design. You could center the text differently, but I'm going to keep it center aligned for right now. This is going to look gross, but I'm also just going to give it a drop shadow just so we can see it for a second. So we got about, which looks like it's spelled wrong, but I'm just going to roll with that. It's been a long day. And let's take that button and let's go just drag it down, duplicate it out. So the cool thing about auto layouts is I want to go hit the T button before I can type. And it's going to always be working around that word. So if I go and do start game like so, and have that text all centered up, it's just going to build around it. So it's a little bit quicker. It's more adaptive. If you have a screen that's going to move, that box is going to move around the text. So that's one of the benefits of it. But it does kind of hurt my head to make the auto layout, just being so used to working in other Adobe projects. Okay, so we got our buttons. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go link them up. So I'm going to go take about, and I'm going to go make an interaction to go to, you guessed it, the about page. And then I'm going to go do the same thing with the start game. So let's go to our loading screen, or a landing page, my bad. And I'm going to go hit play. Just gonna test run this one out. So I'm on that one. I click menu, it's still working. Go to about, takes me to the about page. Hit the menu again, takes me to the start game. So that's all working well. So we're going to do a couple other edits down the road, but I just wanted to kind of give you another option out there. So we've been using components. I created 2 components right here. Let's go back to that extra burger that we had just kind of chilling. I'm going to make that guy a component really quick. Kind of zoom in on him. So we could do this where we go and we make 2 separate components like this. What a lot of times you'll see done if you're kind of looking in demos and stuff online, if you got a lot of buttons, you want those buttons to change, is you can go click on that component and you can go hit add variation. You see this little box pops up. I could call this maybe the burgers, the menus, and I could go take that variation, make my X that way. And then I would have some slightly different ways of going and having it be where I can go click on this and it'll just change the component. So maybe you want that to change and stay the same, but you don't want to have a whole big overlay. This is another option. I'm just putting this out there for those that are getting a little bit more advanced. You can go look at those kind of variations of components out there. But let's not worry too much about component variants for today. I think the easiest way for you all right now is just to do an overlay, have it pop out, and kind of work from there. Okay, I'm going to put something on the landing page real quick. So I could go and drag and drop stuff in here, but remember you can always place stuff. If you're on a Mac, it's going to be Command Shift K. And then I'm going to go grab those 2 folders and place those guys in here. Okay. So I got these 2 photos that I brought in. I'm going to make the first one a component, the second one a component. Kind of drag that first guy in here, like so. Maybe I'm going to make a text box underneath. I'm giving it a title. I don't know. The title of this game is Should I Pet This Cat? I don't know. Anyways, we got a cat here. I know. It's some cheap heat. Everybody likes them. Get a few laughs. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a little, another little trick where we go and maybe as we go and move the cursor over this photo, it's going to go and turn into the angry cat. So it's kind of like if you go to pet him, he's just going to get grumpy. So I'm going to click on the first component. I'm going to hit interaction. This time I'm going to switch it from on tap to while hovering. And then I'm going to go set it up as an open overlay. I'm going to set that as this overlay, hopefully, as our other cat here, which is called No He He He. Okay, so we got that overlay. I'm going to go switch our overlay position. So we got those settings. I'm going to take it from centered, and this time take it to manual. I'm going to zoom in here for a second, making sure that they line up. And let's look at this loading page one more time, kind of test it out. So now when I go, I clicked just because it was kind of buffering in, but I go over top that image and it switches. Okay. And then everything else should be rolling good. Okay, let's get this game going. I did make a little, took a little screen grab of the different interactions, the different options we have for this. I got some rough copy that I did not write, I just snagged. But we got some rough copy here. And what we're gonna do is we're going to go make our game. The game's gonna be, you get to choose one or two options to go try to pet this cat. There's a couple different endings. It's pretty straightforward. But let's do this. Let's go to our start game here. We're going to be using this for a lot of these different options that we got. I'm first going to start off by making a box. Something like that. It's going to be a placeholder for a photo maybe. And then I'm going to go start to put some type in here. Start to copy and paste stuff. So I'm making kind of a header. I'm going to my demo 3 copy, which I put in a couple different file formats to make it easy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the title for step 1, the encounter. I'm going to go put that right above our photo. So I don't know, you got the counter, you got the photo of the cat. And then after that, I got this kind of like subtitle. You see a cat sunbathing on a window ledge. You got that going there. And I'm going to have that right underneath of our gray rectangle. Now I'm just going to be going and adjusting the type, trying to get it to feel like it fits a little bit better. Trying to get that format up all together. Maybe something like that. That looks okay. And then after that, I'm going to go and grab option 1, which is approach slowly and extend your hand. Maybe I'm going to take this and bump that down to 24 points. I'm going to get rid of the bold. So basically what I'm doing is I'm making the base design, and then we're going to use that for the rest of it. So the first approach slowly and extend your hand, that button, I'm going to make into an auto layout by hitting Shift A. And maybe I'm going to go give it a little color. So I'm going to go adjust the fill. Gonna go curve the corners. So I got that first one. I'm gonna give it a drop shadow. Why not? And then I'm gonna duplicate that down for our second button, and then copy and paste in Option B. Boom. Okay, so we got our title, our placeholder for the photo, subtitle, and our two buttons going here. One talking about approaching slowly, one talking about sitting quietly. Okay, y'all. So we got that. What we're going to do next with our start game is we're going to go and we're going to duplicate that out. I'm going to make two versions of this, duplicating it. You can kind of set up your workspace however you want, but I'm doing it kind of like that, where it shows those two different paths. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go title the first one Option A, and the second one Option B. Okay. So then I'm going to take my buttons, the first one, A. I'm going to prototype out. I'm going to go link that up to Option A. Option B, we're going to go take down to Option B. So it should be something like that. Let's go to Option A, and we're going to go do the same thing. We're going to go add in that copy. So the initial reaction. So if they select Option A, what's going to happen is they're going to go and have a couple different ways of approaching this cat. So we have the initial reaction. I'm going to get that sub kind of header. The cat sniffs your hand. And then I'm going to go take Option A1 and switch that out. And then Option A2 and go switch that out. So hopefully this is making sense right off the bat. We're just making templates, and then we're going to go start plugging these in and lining these up. Now your website, when you go and do it, might be a lot more complicated. I don't know. I mean, it's going to be a lot more complicated. There might be different options. You know, a bunch of friends might be collaborating. Then we have Option B, which is yet again going to be still that same kind of step. We're going to switch and counter for Option B to the initial reaction. And then I'm going to go and have that. The cat glances at you walking over gracefully. Maybe I need to edit that copy a little bit. I'm going to get rid of gracefully. And then I'm going to go grab Option B1, swap that out. And then Option B2 and swap that out. So it should be looking something kind of like that. Okay, so now I'm going to go take Option 1, copy that guy, and I'm actually going to go take Option A, my bad. I'm going to go duplicate that out 3 times actually. Okay, so I got, it goes 1, then it goes 2, then it goes 3. So that first top one, we're going to change that to Option A1 and B1. So kind of reminding ourselves that if they select A1 or B1, it's going to take them to there. Option A2 will be the next one. And option B2 will be the last one. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start linking those up accordingly. So, you could use this method of linking, of organizing content. If the options A, B, 1, 2 isn't working for you, that's okay. I'm realizing that my little handout that I had, I got a version that doesn't work out too well, but let's try this out. Okay, so I got them linked up like so. I'm going to update my little cheat sheet for you all, so it'll be all easy to understand. And this is probably where, doing some just kind of wireframing, maybe using a FigJam to kind of figure this out before you get into the actual program might be helpful. Okay, so I got my option A going into the A1. So A1 goes to A1, A2 goes to A2. I'm going to change that title. It's option A2. And B1, hopefully that works with our story that ChatGPT generated. Got that linked up like that, got that linked up like that. Yeah, I think that all works. Okay. And now I'm going to go and change out my copy really quick. So in those last three, we're just going to go down the row. So if they pick option A1, they're going to get a successful ending. And that's going to say, if you got A1 or B1, you're going to get that successful ending and the cat rolls over. So you don't have to write out something really complicated. I mean, this wasn't hopefully complicated. Option A2 is going to have an upset ending. I also say that's B1 as well for the sake of keeping things easy to understand. And then that last one is going to be that last ending. Okay, y'all. So we got those three different endings going on there. The upset, the quiet comfort ending. I don't like the title of that. We're just going to say the quiet ending. The best ending. Yeah. It's looking better. Let's go test run this out. Okay. So let's go to landing page. Let's see how this works. Make sure I'm clicking the right thing. Okay, that's working good. I'm going to go to start game, and then I can go approach those series of endings. So that one's working pretty good. So you can kind of go play this test, run it. I think that all works really well. Okay. So I'm going to go update my little cheat sheet just so you can kind of follow along. But hopefully that's making sense. So we're going to be going and we're going to have these different nodes that's going to go start and funnel into the other ones. And I mean, this will be a kind of a fun project to do when we do the project for real. But it'll also kind of help us understand how people navigate a website and how we can get somebody from point A to point Z within a website. Okay, so hopefully that was all making sense. Now that we got that all done, go upload a link, make sure that people can see it, that I can add comments to it. If you got any questions, let's talk. Okay, well, you all have a good one. See you soon.